And welcome back for episode 3 of our Chicago White Sox franchise. We have gotten ourselves off to a very rough start here in the 2025 season. We are 6-22 through our first 28 games of the season, which unfortunately is something I was hoping I could avoid having to say for the entirety of this season. But that puts us exactly even with the 2024 White Sox through the first 28 games. Last year's White Sox did start out 3-22, but then they randomly won 3 games in a row, swept the Rays to get up to 6-22. We, on the other hand, have yet to win even back-to-back games. And weirdly enough, 5 of our 6 wins so far have come on the final game of a series. But we did finish last episode with probably our best win of the season so far, so we're hoping to continue the momentum into today. We're going to be getting started today by heading down to our AA squad to take a look at our number 2 prospect, Hagen Smith. Smith is up to a 74 overall, but he's been struggling in his first 4 starts of AA this year. He has a 7.11 ERA. So I thought it would be fun to take a look at the future today, player lock his Smith, and maybe hope to turn his bad start around. And the goal here, on top of just wanting to see Hagen Smith in action, is also going to be to try and put together a good game because, well, that's a frustrating way to start, really. There we go. That's a good swing to see happen. Oh, and there we go. Back-to-back sliders inside. Handcuffed him. It's an interesting pitch selection here. Only 4 pitches. Slider primary pitch. We got a fastball. We got a cutter. We got a circle change. Obviously, you wish you had one more pitch. You wish there was a 5-pitch mix. Of course, takes off on the circle change. But actually, I guess it didn't matter. There we go. Another slider in. 2 punch-outs on that pitch to a righty. That's a good sign. And that one's gonna... Dude, okay. If this is what's been going on with Hagen Smith in the hits column, I don't worry too much. Because so far we've given up 2 hits in 1 inning, and it's been a bunt and a weak, I guess you could call it a line drive, even though it doesn't feel right to with how weak it was hit. Was that on the ground, or... We didn't get him. Oh. There we go, dude. That slider, that's looking like a good pitch. That should get caught by the catcher, right? So that is, it's another solid inning after giving up a leadoff base runner. Ah, see, that's one of the more frustrating walks. It was a 1-2 count, and he laid off of just 3 pitches that barely missed. Ooh, we're trying to take off, though. Who do we got behind the plate that just hosed him down? All right. And there's another strikeout. We got it on the cutter this time. Good to see that more than 1 pitch can pick up a K. And that, ooh, that's going to be a 2-out double, isn't it? 0-2 count. I guess that slider didn't get inside enough. That's still a pretty solid spot. I guess I haven't said it yet this episode, but for anybody who may be new, we are playing this franchise on GOAT difficulty, so everything you've seen so far with Hagen Smith is on GOAT difficulty on the mound. And that's probably going to be a run, isn't it? Yep, that's... not a fun way to give up a run. A 2-out double on, honestly, a perfect slider in, and then that weak little base hit up the middle on a 3-2 count. Okay, that play is going to be made. That was definitely the worst inning yet. I think one thing to keep in mind during this start is Hagen Smith is a 74 overall right now, which is like right in the mix with our current major league pitching. Like he'd be literally like right in the middle of the overall that all of our starting pitchers are. That one's gonna get caught, okay. But I feel like that's an important thing to point out because like overall wise, he should be a major league caliber pitcher right now. So you would hope a major league caliber pitcher would be having absolutely no struggles down in AA. Man, a lot more contact is being made on that slider in. I was thinking that would be the strikeout pitch, but it doesn't seem to be working anymore. There we go, though. The circle change is a good strikeout pitch there. There we go, dotting the fastball in. I think that's 6 strikeouts so far, and we followed up Hagen Smith's worst inning with his best inning. Fortunately, one of Hagen Smith's strengths is his stamina. I think he had like a mid to high 80s stamina. Maybe I'll check after this out is made, which is a 1-pitch out. That's good for the stamina. Okay, actually is a lower 80s stamina, but still anything over an 80 stamina I feel like is it could be considered high stamina. Even with that, I'm kind of still surprised he has as much energy left as he does. And that should be another out early in the count. That one's going to be another weak base hit, though. That's a shame, dude. 3 of those and then a bunt base hit. I think we only have 5 hits allowed total, and only 1 of them feels like really earned. There we go, though. Pop up. That should get us out of the 5th inning. 1 run allowed. There we go, man. We're getting a lot of weak contact now. The strikeout pitch might be going away. Actually, now that I think of it, I wonder if there was a reason why I thought Hagen Smith had mid to high 80s stamina, because that's something we've seen on our major league team. I think it has to do with the coaching staff, but there's also an aspect I don't fully understand that pretty significantly decreases some of our guys' stamina, like a -6. So maybe, I mean, maybe Hagen Smith could be anywhere from like an 85 to an 88, but in game, it's only an 82 because of the coaching. I don't know. That's still something I got to learn about. For now, though, Hagen Smith is absolutely dealing. I would like the strikeout pitch to work a little bit more, but he is, I mean, he's cruising now. We finally got our lead back 2-1 here in the top of the 7th inning. Smith still has green energy. And we're not going to make that play. That seemed like a ground ball that didn't even need a dive to happen. It seemed like our guy should have just got there. And it looks like that's going to do it, though. Another weak base hit. 5 of the 6 hits allowed weren't even hit that hard. That was a very good start for Hagen Smith. That was a very good showing. We did end up losing the game, but that's not really what we were here for. We were here to see Hagen Smith turn in a good start, and that's exactly what he did. 6 innings, 6 hits allowed, only the 2 runs and 6 punch-outs. I am hoping throughout the course of this episode, as we move through the month of May, it'll become apparent what we might be able to do when it comes to trading away some of our players. But I did set our initial trade block here early in this season. Matt Thaiss and Austin Slater are both off to good starts. I threw Michael A. Taylor on there too, just because he's going to be valued for his fielding and he's a higher overall at a 78. I also did decide to move James Karinchak out of the closer role, not because he wasn't good in it, because he was, but mainly because our team isn't good enough to really have a closer role, and I want Karinchak to get used as much as possible so that he could also become a trade piece. It also helps that so far Fraser Ellard this season is looking really good. He's thrown 10 innings so far. He hasn't given up a single run. So moving back to our major league squad, we do have 2 games against the Brewers to fully complete the month of April, and we dropped game 1 in a shutout. Heading into game 2 of this series, the game gives us a critical situation to hop into. Colson Montgomery at the plate, down by 1 with 2 outs and 2 runners on base. And we got to do it in the rain. These are going to be my first at-bats on GOAT difficulty today. Hopefully I can pick up where I left off last episode, because we definitely started to look a little bit better in our at-bats in those last couple of games last episode. Alright, I've worked it to a 3-2 count. We've been patient. Runners are going to be on the move. Base hit guarantees at least a tie game. And, oh, that's a solid swing, but it's not going to do anything. I was actually early. I was actually ready for that hard sinker. Mike Clevenger would come in for the 9th inning, though, and give us a really nice scoreless inning to keep the deficit at just 1. Unfortunately, though, in the bottom of the 9th inning, we wouldn't be able to get anything going, getting sat down 1-2-3, and there is yet another loss on our record. And that loss officially ends our month of April, bringing us to a record of 6-24 through our first 30 games of the season. And checking in on some of our player stats after a month of baseball, it's pretty easy to see why we've been losing so many of our games. The hitting has just not come around, besides Matt Thaiss, Austin Slater, and Benintendi lately. We haven't had any power either. It's a 2-way tie at 3 home runs for the team lead. Our starting starting pitching's been letting us down too. Besides Shane Smith, he's actually done solid so far. But the one and only bright spot on this team is actually the bullpen. A 4.03 ERA from Penn Murphy is the worst we've got out there. With it being the end of our first month of the season, though, that's when we start seeing some attribute changes. And obviously, with how we're playing, we're not going to be seeing too many positive attribute changes. Luis Robert Jr. is getting hit hard so far. He's gone down 2 overall after a rough start to his season. But the worrying ones are seeing our 2 rookies go backwards in the hitting categories, Kyle Teal and Colson Montgomery. And moving into the start of May, but also finishing off our series against the Brewers, the game gives us another critical situation. This time it's a tie game with 2 outs in the top of the 8th inning, and we gotta prevent runs from scoring here with 2 runners in scoring position. The game actually advised an intentional walk here. It's William Contreras in the 9 hole. I have to imagine that this is a pinch hitter, but that does make sense to do in this situation. Put Contreras on for free. He's one of their better hitters. Brings up the leadoff batter, 2 for 2 on the day. It looks like Bryce Terang. But what I'm going to do, instead of letting Karinchak handle it, I am going to our new closing pitcher, actually, Fraser Ellard. All right, but first things first, we actually have to get this final out of the inning. They're squeeze bunting. It doesn't matter. Ellard Frasers his position perfectly. Our bottom half of the 8th inning would go by quietly, though, going down 1-2-3. But Fraser Ellard would dominate the top of the 9th, getting the first 2 out on the first pitch of the at-bat and then striking out Rhys Hoskins on 3 pitches. Andrew Vaughn in the bottom of the 9th. Tell me that's extra bases. It will be because of the misplay. That's a huge way to get the bottom of the 9th started. A leadoff double. We'll be bringing in a little bit more speed out there, and Jankowski on second to make sure we can win this thing on another base hit. And it's Colson Montgomery who has the chance to do it. All right, Montgomery draws a walk. Really, all that does here is set up a double play. Vargas coming up. He has gone deep today. That's our only run, I guess. Does make much more sense, though, to go to Rojas off the bench. Purely based on the matchup and the ratings here. Rojas has like a 70 clutch. Vargas had like 38 clutch. And Rojas through the left side, we're sending him. I think that's going to do it. A walk-off win. That one feels good, especially after last game, knowing I was putting good swings on the ball and not getting results. We got the results today. So once again, we take the final game of a series, making it so that 6 of our 7 total wins on the season have come in the final game of a series. And specifically in final games of a series, we're 6-4. So what that means is in all other games, we're 1-20. So next up is a series against Houston, and right away, we're finding ourselves in another critical situation. This time, we're down a run again. It's the bottom of the 9th inning. And we have Luis Robert Jr. at the dish with a runner on first. It's Friday night at home, so we got those City Connect jerseys on. Robert is 2 for 3 with a triple. That average is up over 220. He's actually slowly but surely improving. And that's not going to help. Actually, maybe it will. Oh, there's no way. I don't know if challenges exist anymore, but if they did, we would need one for right there. No, it's just going to move me right on. All right, well, then it comes down to Vaughn. He got things started in the last game. And I was too early. Oh, that's the PCI is perfect on that one. No. Oh, and the slider. That's a tough spot on a 3-2 count like that. In the zone, tunnel like a fastball. So once again, we can't pick up back-to-back wins, and we lose another first game of a series. So after a 5-4 loss in the opener of the Houston series, we take another loss in game 2. This time we get shut out. Davis Martin only went 3 innings and gave up 5. And we stay winless on the season in game 2s of a series. We might have just found the true benefit, though, of discovering players. Look at who we just discovered. I know it's only 15% scouted. This could change. But right after discovery, we just found somebody who we have ranked 6th overall. He's not ranked at all in the MLB rank but we have him ranked 6th. So I think we got to drop everything and make sure we get him scouted. This 1 week should get him up to, I think it'd be 84%, but then we'll have a much better idea of what we might have just uncovered. That's exciting. So now once again we find ourselves in the final game of a series after dropping the first 2 games. So of course we pick up another victory. So that now makes us 7-4 specifically in the finales of a series. And I don't know what to take away from that. Does that just mean that once we're familiar with the team, we understand how to beat them? Or more likely, is this just complete coincidence? Now right there is where I finished recording for the day, but after I turned it off, I felt like I wanted to shake some things up, and I ended up going through with some moves when I stopped recording live. So the first thing I decided to do is we're sending back down Kyle Teel and Colson Montgomery at the same time. Neither of them have panned out yet. Both of their development is going the wrong way, and if I send them down right now, their rookie status is still intact. So if we keep them both down for the rest of the season and then moving into next season, we would still have the chance to call them up as rookies and give them a shot at the prospect promotion incentive. So in their place for now, instead of calling up Edgar Caro, I'm just going to get Corey Lee back on the big league squad. And then at shortstop, we're going to go ahead and get Brooks Baldwin back. And we're not done with the send downs there. I'm also going to be sending down Davis Martin. He's had a rough start to his season as well, with a 6.25 ERA coming off of a bad start. But actually, this move is mostly because I want to move Clevenger into the starting rotation. I was also taking a look at the trade block, and I was very intrigued by seeing Dustin May's name on there, because he's a 79 overall, but right now with the way the Dodgers rotation is set up, they don't have him in the rotation, and he's hardly pitched this year. He's only gotten into 4 games for 8 total innings, but him as a 79 overall would be our best pitcher right now. So when I was exploring this as a potential trade based on what they're looking for, I threw Josh Rojas on the board and they were interested. Now Rojas has only been back for 10 games after he was hurt to start the year, but he's been not having a good 10 games. And on top of that, he is not somebody that factors into any of our future plans at all. So even though Dustin May also isn't somebody that could factor into future plans because he's on an expiring contract, I decided this is a trade that makes sense. We would give Dustin May an opportunity to start. I have a feeling he's going to put up some good numbers, and he's got a solid 3 months before the trade deadline to put up good numbers, and we could potentially flip him then for something even better. It is a little bit of a gamble, but when you're in as rough shape as we are to start this season, I think you need to gamble. So Dustin May then slots into our rotation. Mike Vassal's going to go back to his long relief role, and then to rebalance the roster after getting rid of Rojas, I decided to call up Corey Julks. And with Corey Julks moving up to the MLB, that also leaves a spot in AAA. So we're going to have Braden Montgomery take that next step and move up into AAA. He is already a 73 overall. He was already a bit of a high overall for AA, but he got off to a really nice start. So this is the perfect situation to bring him up to the next level. Now, the one last move that I decided to make in this flurry of moves is, since I want both Kyle Teel and Edgar Caro to get as many at-bats as possible, I wanted to sign another catcher for AAA. That way, just in case the CPU would get confused and not give the catcher a rest day and move whoever is at DH to catcher for the day, we'll just have a backup catcher. So the one that made the most sense to me would be to bring back Yasmani Grandal. He's signing a minor league contract, but inevitably, when we trade away Matt Thaiss, if I don't want to bring Teel back and I don't think Caro's ready yet, I might just bring Grandal up to the bigs. So it feels like a bit of a new beginning now. I mean, obviously, it's not a great feeling to have to send down your 2 top prospects because they've been underperforming, but still shaking things up is good, especially when you start out the season 8-26 like we have. You got to make some changes. I think we technically actually got worse in some of the ranking categories. I think our contact went down. That's the only one I'm really sure about looking at it right here. But moving Clevenger to the rotation, he's put together a really nice season so so far getting Dustin May is going to be good for our starting pitching. Our starting pitching has been a pretty major weak point, so if those two guys can pitch as well as I hope they are, then right there we might have gotten ourselves in 40% more of the games if you think of it that way. So first game post shakeup, we got to take on the Royals, and in game 1 we lose, and we lose bad. 7-1 loss, our only run coming on a Lenyn Sosa solo shot, and Shane Smith, who's been our best starter this year, got lit up for 6 runs in just 3 innings. We take another loss in game 2 of the series, but the first notable enough trade to actually pop up has happened here. The Mets have given up on Brett Beatty. They're sending him and Tyler McGill to the Mariners for Matt Brash, some bullpen help. Just figured I'd point that out since that was the first one we've seen. But in our 5-2 loss, it was an Austin Slater home run that was our only source of offense. 3 unearned runs also probably doesn't help things. Game 3 of the series is set to be Dustin May's first start, so instead of simulating this one, we're gonna hop in. All right, and here's our first look at Dustin May in a White Sox jersey. What has he got on his first pitch there? 95 on the sinker, right on the edge of the zone. Dude, if the rest of his White Sox tenure looks like that, he's going to be doing just fine. But yeah, obviously we just got to see our new trade acquisition. I only plan on pitching probably 2 innings with him. So let's make those 2 innings count. May? Exactly like that. I mean, not to compare everything we do this year to what the real life White Sox have done this year, but I'm hoping at least that this trade to get Dustin May is going to work out somewhat similarly to how the White Sox got Adrian Hauser this year, and then he turned in a really good like 2.5 months with the Sox, and they were able to use him to make a pretty decent trade. And there we go. There's a weak grounder straight to Sosa at second. Good stuff. But I just think, especially with how slow of a start Rojas was getting off to after coming back from the injury, I think Dustin May just has a lot better of a chance of performing well enough to turn into a pretty good trade than Rojas did. And this is actually going to be a tough play with Witt running. Sosa get it there. Nice. 1-2-3 first inning in Dustin May's first start with us. Oh, man. Wanted the strike out there with an 0-2 slurve. I'll take another ground out, though. And a 1-pitch pop-up. Dude, Dustin May is cruising here through 5 batters. What is that? 13 pitches to get 5 outs? Oh, but that, you know what? That's not how we need to give up a base runner. Game, come on. We're still getting nothing but weak contact. You don't need to let him get on base from it. All right, there we go. Sosa's got it. I almost messed up that throw, but that is 2 scoreless innings to start Dustin May's White Sox career. And moving to simulate the rest of the game, the very next inning, Dustin May loses it and gives up a 3-run homer. From that point, though, this game goes on to get a little bit ugly. But then in the last 2 innings, our offense picks it up at least a little bit to make it a somewhat respectable only 5-run loss. What did I just watch? This turned out to be kind of a crazy game. It was both tied for the most runs we've scored this season, but also comfortably by about 5 runs. It was the most runs we've allowed this season. So on the verge of getting swept, you know what that means. We've got a final game of a series, and it gives us a critical situation where, who would have thought, but we have a 2-0 lead that we're trying to protect. Of course, man, of course, it's the final game of a series, and this is when we get it together. Although we gotta finish it. Fraser Ellard is probably one of his first chances since we made him the actual definitive closer. You can't fall apart now that we gave you the bigger role. There we go. Caught him looking. And another strikeout, dude. Another win in a final game of a series. This is actually getting ridiculous at this point. It makes absolutely no sense. And how about a 4-for-4 day out of Mike Tauchman with 2 doubles and a homer, on top of the scoreless Clevenger start and a shutout overall? Dude, I also got to point out real quick, what a series from Austin Slater. The first series since I made him an everyday starter, starting him against righties also. And he picks up, what is this, 8 hits with 3 of them being home runs? That's exactly what we need out of him. Look at the year he's having so far. And after another rough series, but a win to close it out, we get to take on the struggling 11-26 Marlins. And well, I'll just let you see my reaction to how this game played out. Oh! We did it. Finally winning consecutive games for the first time this season. This time it was a Corey Lee 4-for-4 day, along with 2 home runs in a 7-inning Martin Perez outing. And then game 2 of the series is going to give us another critical situation, another lead to protect with Frazier Ellard on the mound. We've got a chance to make it 3 in a row. And this could be our first win in a middle game of a series. That should, we're fine. We're all good out there in right field. 1 to go. We got a lefty-lefty matchup with a guy who's 0 for 3 with 3 punch-outs, batting 178 on the year. I am more scared than if I would be facing Aaron Judge right now. Grounder, though. All good there at second base, and that's 3 straight wins. Where did this come from? It helps when we're facing a team that was hardly better than us, and actually winning the first 2 games of the series might have brought us even. I think they had 11 wins. Now so do we. It's been the pitching now for 3 games in a row that's gotten us this 3-game winning streak. And what a bounce back start from Shane Smith. 7 innings, only 2 hits allowed, 12 strikeouts. From there, it's scouting day and our discovery, Kevin Parks. We now have 85% scouted and he's still ranked 6th. He hasn't dropped. So just to be sure, I'm going to get him up to 100% by scouting some East Region shortstops. But this is looking like a crazy discovery. For the first time this year, though, we have the chance to sweep, and we do. But we also have our first CPU trade offer. All right, so they're offering me Keegan Aiken for Matt Thaiss. Aiken's a lefty reliever, 29 years old, 73 overall, not having a great season so far. Only 3 pitches, and he's only got this year and next year under team control. I don't know. Not really the type of offer I was hoping for Matt Thaiss. I'm more intrigued to get. I would rather take a low overall young guy for Thaiss, even at a C potential, just to see what they could turn into, rather than taking somebody like Keegan Aiken, who really isn't even that much of an upgrade to the current team, let alone the future team. So we will be denying this one. The 7-5 victory over the Marlins, though, gives us our first series sweep of the year. Crazy we do that before just winning 2 games in a series. Next up, though, we go from the Marlins to the 31-11 Reds for a series. And game 1 gives us a chance at a critical situation, but it's just an opportunity to extend Austin Slater's 10-game hitting streak in a player lock. All right, sure, this is just to keep Slater's hitting streak alive, but we're down 3 in the 8th inning with 2 on. If we can do something big here, we get ourselves back in this game. Although this is going to be my first at-bats of the day, so this might not be pretty. Don't dot me like that, though. That's just unfair. Oh, come on. And be generous, maybe? No. We wouldn't do anything more in the game. Brooks Baldwin flies out to right field to end it. So the winning streak is going to end at 4, and Dustin May has himself another rough outing. We're also going to drop game 2 of the series in a 4-1 loss. But Thaiss gets 3 hits and Slater hits another home run. If we're going to lose a game, that's exactly what I want to see in the box score. We can't work our magic again, though. We do get swept by the Reds, but it took them all the way to the 9th inning. They won on a walk-off. It feels like that sort of thing should be a critical situation, but I guess every game can't be a critical situation. But also with that injury popping up and having to manage that, it made me want to look at Hagen Smith. After we player locked as him to start the episode, he's had 2 scoreless starts. So if our goal was to get him on the right track, it seems like we might have done that. While I'm down here, though, I also wanted to check on some other dudes. Braden Montgomery's off to a solid start after getting called up. He's got a 4.10 on base in his first 9 games. Kyle Teal's doing nothing special so far after getting called down, but Colson Montgomery is on fire. It's gonna take a lot at this point for me to call either of them back up, but we will keep an eye on this. And now it's the big one, the World Series in May. We've got a 3-game series at Wrigley against the Cubs, and we're gonna drop game 1 of the series 6-2. Gotta keep the series interesting, though, and we do that by taking the second game. Nice little 4-2 win, another Austin Slater homer. And before the rubber match of the series, Sunday is scout day. And now that Kevin Parks is up to 100%, he's still ranked 6th. I have noticed the potential and overall windows have gone slightly down, but that hasn't changed his ranking. I'm gonna have to figure out how I want to handle this though. I don't know if you take him 10th pick, or if since he's been discovered, can I wait till the second round? Will nobody else know about him? We've got time though to come to that decision, and in the meantime, we gotta get into some crosstown action here. Let's hop into game 3 of the series against the Cubs. We just had to get into some crosstown action here, especially with this series tied at a game apiece. I'll play the first inning or two and then maybe hop back in at the end if need be. But we've got Shota on the mound for them. We have Dustin May out there after a couple of not so great starts. Sometimes it's those pitches. It's just the straight fastball middle at the top of the zone that's tough to hit. I feel like the motion to bring the left thumb in to like get up here is more natural than just going straight up sometimes. Dude, but also, how about Luis Robert Jr.? I know those numbers by themselves aren't super impressive, but he was batting like 180 something when we checked in not that long ago. He's turning things around. And now he's drawing walks, 4-pitch walks. I had to check because anytime a lefty's out there taking a lead is scary, but Shota has pickoff artists, so now I really don't want to take a lead and try and steal. Oh, no. It's a little out in front of that. Man, looking at the bottom of the screen, just seeing DFAs happening reminds me maybe that's something I should keep an eye on. The waiver situation. If we can like start claiming guys off of waivers, that would make sense. How about this Lenyn Sosa at bat so far? And then we strike out on a fastball right down the middle. I made him throw pitches, we just didn't do anything with it. All right, well, man. We just did this, it feels like, and it felt like things were going to go so well, and then since those 2 innings I pitched with Dustin May, he has not looked very good at all, so maybe give him another 2 innings today, see what he can do. I mean, he's looking pretty good there. Gotta make this play. We got Lenyn Sosa at shortstop today. Yeah, that's a tough one for him. That should be a double play, though. Vargas to Julks to Vaughn. At least I'm pitching good with Dustin May. I gotta stop getting beaten by that. It's not like it's the velocity. You'd think it's still the GOAT difficulty velocity that's getting me, but I don't know what it was there. I just saw that as not the fastball right down the middle. Look at Michael A. Taylor, man. He's batting 114. Actually, starting this game, the game prompted me to sit him down for this one because he was batting .097 against lefties. He's supposed to be better against lefties. He starts against lefties. And that's not looking too good. Maybe it's gonna be decision time pretty soon about him. I was thinking the whole time it was gonna be Jankowski I get rid of first. It might be Michael A. Taylor because I want to make room for Chase Mydroth once he's healthy. Wow. Guess that one just didn't have the break I thought it would. Man, I can't get strikeouts. Struck out the very first batter I faced with Dustin May in his last start, and then since then it's just been a lot of 2-strike counts and then ground balls. Alright, well there's another ground ball. Didn't wait till we got to 2 strikes that time though. Ooh, right at the top of the zone. That was supposed to be above the zone, but it worked out. You know, I want to take an at bat with Corey Lee and Vargas before I go to Sim here. And I don't know how much that... No, that's going to die. Okay. I didn't think I got a whole lot of that, but then I looked at the swing, and the swing looked pretty good. Ooh, that's a nasty pitch. All right, so I got no hits and 1 walk one time through the order with, did that say 6 strikeouts? Yeah, we're simming. We strike first with a Luis Robert 2-run shot, but then immediately the Cubs respond with 5 off of Dustin May, 2 more in the next inning, and he's had himself now another rough start. And we end up losing by a final of 11-5. So we're dropping the first half at least of the Crosstown Classic this year. And after the third struggle start from May, I just had to know. I had to know if Rojas was doing anything for the Dodgers. They do have him batting in the 2-hole, but he has been pretty bad. So far, this has been kind of a lose-lose trade, which at least makes me feel a little bit better. We're gonna get ourselves a critical situation in game 1 against the Mariners, and it's another late lead to protect. All right, 2 on, 1 out. Brandon Eisert only 5 pitches in, so I'm guessing I'm stuck using him one way or another. We do have a lefty-lefty matchup, though. I probably wouldn't take him out anyway. And that's not what you want to see. That's gonna bring this one tied. I feel like I've gotten so used to just assuming I was gonna come in and shut the door. We'll leave him in though for another lefty-lefty matchup. See if we can roll a double play. That runner moving up to third also it's a shame. I mean, that's our ground ball. 81 speed. We need a quick turn. Oh, I actually thought we had him. That was close. Man, and another lefty. Stacking the lineup with lefties against our righty starter. We're going to get there even with the bad jump, but not before we completely give up the lead. I actually have to hit. Oh no. And oh no is right, because that's exactly what I would not do for the rest of this game. Scoreless in the 8th. Andres Munoz comes out for the 9th, and it all comes down to Corey Julks with 2 outs. Oh, that's a way to end it. Look at that. You hate to see it, man. You hate to see a game that I directly lose there. I gave up 2 runs. We entered with the lead. We left with the loss. In the second game of the series, Martin Perez would get a minor injury. And we also lose the game 7-1. Mike Vasil gave up a couple right away after Perez came out. And then James Karinchak with another rough outing. All of a sudden, his ERA is 5.06. We do our thing, though, and take the last game of the series. But we also have another trade offer to review. What a terrible trade. Is there some setting I'm missing? Some reason why the trades that have come in haven't been for prospects? Like, why would I make this trade? Especially since he hasn't even been good. It'd be a straight up downgrade. No. Obviously, no. We had a 13-hit game, though, to win that final game against the Mariners. Another good Shane Smith start, too. It's really fun when things click, but they wouldn't click into the series against the Rangers. We dropped game 1, 7-6. A 2-homer game, though, out of Brooks Baldwin. He's actually playing pretty solid since we called him up and sent Montgomery back down. We're gonna take game 2, though, in a 3-1 win, and look at Dustin May. Look who finally had a good start. Another week of scouting, though, and another really solid looking discovery, ranked 18th right away. Obviously, again, you still gotta scout him fully, but initially this is a very interesting discovery. A super fielding center fielder right here. Got a chance for a series win, but we lose spectacularly. An 8-1 dismantling. It was just a rough looking game all around. We got a new series against the Mets, though, and we get a critical situation in game 1. We gotta try and do something against Edwin Diaz. All right, well, we get another chance to try and get it done at the plate. It's just we got to do it against Edwin Diaz. And I saw as we were loading in, Mike Vasil pitched 7 innings, which to me isn't a good sign. That might mean we had a starting pitcher injury. Or he just started. I guess I'll have to check on that because I don't know what would have happened to get Mike Vasil a start. Man, he's gone 3 sliders here to start this at bat when I'm trying to sell out for the Heat. Another one, but that one is going to get the tying run into scoring position. That's huge. Perfect. Contact swing, hit it to the right side, move him up to third base. Now it's on Sosa. We just got to put a ball in play in the air, and Robert has a good chance of scoring. Ah, no, I saw a pitch at the top of the zone. Wanted to be on it. It was a slider. Now we need a hit. And it's up to Corey Julks to do that. Boy, 69 clutch is not bad, but that PCI is microscopic. I guess it'll be on the next guy. Next man up is Corey Lee. Corey Lee, dude, you can't do that to me. 109 off the bat. That has to get through. That has to be a hit. Why does it feel like the game is screwing me over? Like, go difficulty's tough enough. When I do something right, I need a result. And the reason Vassell started that game was just because when Martin Perez got hurt and then he was no longer hurt, I think the game decided to put Vassell in the rotation for Perez. But then when Perez came back in, they decided to replace Clevenger instead of replacing Vassell. So it's all good. We've got it figured out now. Another loss, though, comes in game 2 of the series, 3-1. And then wrapping up the series, another ugly loss. We get shut out 7-0. And the worst part is a 3-run James Karinchak outing that brings his ERA up to 6.23. All right, well, with that horrible series against the Mets, they're scoring 1 run in 3 games. I think this is a good place to call it for today. We'll leave the first 2 games of the next series for next episode to close out this month, and then we'll try and get through the entire month of June. But man, there was a point there where it felt like things were getting better, and then you look up at our record and it's still 15-41. I know today I experimented with a different way to put this episode together, so let me know if you enjoyed it or didn't, more importantly. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me again, and I will see you next episode.